ability to tell stories on the silver screen.
Oh, we are, yeah. Now he's teamed up with author-illustrator Jon Baird to write a novel called The Explorers Guild. That's as adventurous as the title is. It's amazing.
That's right, and we have them here in studio. Please help me welcome Kevin Costner and Jon Baird to the show.
Hey! Hello, guys. Sit down, make yourself at home.
Thank you for coming.
Our
Even more
home is your
handsome
home.
and dashing in
There
person.
you
Yes,
go.
you. Of course you.
Hi, Jon. Hey, welcome. Sit down. Boys, there you go. So how did this all come together, this book, this beautiful book, The Explorers Guild?
Well, it was about
8 years ago.
Yeah.
We, you know, all these things always seem like, oh, they just happen. But it's been an 8-year journey, the last 4 of it, writing the book. You know, talking about the story, all that stuff. We even did animation, and about 4 years ago, the book started.
Wow.
Interesting.
So you teamed together. Kevin, tell me, have you always wanted to be a writer? I know you had such a great career on film.
Yeah. No, most writers are really tortured. I don't really, you know.
You don't want this.
Yeah. It just happened. I didn't start off going to be a writer on this book. We'd worked the story out, did animation, and then at one point Jon said he wanted to write the book. I said, you know, go with God. And then Jon, I think probably.
I think initially because it was a book and not a film, and because it was something I'd brought to him, Kev was thinking he'd take more of a backseat role in it. But then as pages started coming into him, I think it was pretty natural for him to slip into it like he would any other project. It started in a very general way, shaping it, and then he's adding characters and storylines and dialogue. And at a certain point, it was not something of mine he was giving input on. It was really ours, and we were collaborating.
That's great when that happens.
Cool. Yeah, we've co-written things before. I mean, we have a Western we put about 2.5 years into, and we kind of fell into a rhythm like that.
A Western?
Yeah.
You said? You've done a Western before, haven't you?
I've done a few.
Yeah.
You can see we're really fast workers. You know, 8 years, 2 years.
Also nothing quick.
Right. So this, the Explorers Guild, is you were looking for a certain feel, weren't you? Because it's produced beautifully.
Well, you know, listen, we all grew up, you know, with last century's authors and these great classics, and as kids we read them, and Treasure Island, and Mark Twain, and, you know, Kipling, and Jules Verne, and, you know, those were the kind of things, you know, with the flashlight underneath the covers, reading them, and this book is kind of a throwback to those. It's our hope, as you can see it, that it takes its place alongside those great classics. Now, that's pretty lofty company that I just mentioned, so we don't know that it will, but that's what we wanted. We wanted it to have a weight, you know, that's something you put on the shelf and you know, maybe took it off, and you know, you blew the dust off, and it's an heirloom. You know, it's a beautiful book, the art, but it's a throwback to high adventure.
You can see that.
And who was your intended audience when you were writing this book? Did you have anyone in mind, or a group of people who would curl up to this at night and read it as they get to bed?
Well, I think you have to understand, if you make a classic, if you make something worth reading, it doesn't have to hit somebody at the right age, because it travels through time. You know, I hope people are reading this 100 years from now. So I think a 12-year-old, and then in terms of who else can read it, I don't think there's any ceiling. You know, there's no ceiling on the idea of wanting to disappear with your imagination in a good book.
And it also has some history to it as well. It's a fiction, right? It's a fictional novel.
It's fiction, and it starts pretty grounded in real history. And
World War I, is it?
World War I era, that's right.
Okay.
There's a secret society of explorers looking in the sort of fringes of the world for a mythical city, and we kind of take off from historical reality very, very gradually into some more fantastic territory, and we're hoping you don't really notice the seams where we leave the sort of page of history and enter into some of our own ideas.
So what's next for this series? I understand you want to put out more.
Yeah, that volume 1 was a little bit arrogant, I think.
Look at that, it's huge.
Maybe getting ahead of ourselves. But, you know, the book turned out so much better than I could have ever hoped for. I mean, I really think it will stand the test of time, and it is for people who like to disappear. You know, it is for this century. It is for our generation, and it was designed as almost as an heirloom, something to pass on.
Are your children your unofficial book editors? Do they read it and give you feedback?
No, my oldest ones will read it, and they'll pay for it too.
Oh, you're going to make them pay. I love it. That's right. Get those book sales up.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
But about a 10, 12-year-old can start to grasp this.
Well,
Good.
that's great.
Yeah, it's nice to see a creative duo. It's kind of like you and me. You're Costner. I guess I'm Baird.
Oh, I get to be Costner?
It's like a mirror. We're looking at a
Roddy is
mirror.
leading
It's like-
lady.
yeah, I guess. Guys, thanks so much for coming on a great day, Washington. Love having you. Beautiful. All right. Now, you guys are going to be busy in town here as
That's
well, as a matter
right.
of fact. Tomorrow, 1 p.m., Kevin, John, they're going to be joined by their illustrator, Rick Ross, at Politics and Prose. It's a bookstore on Connecticut Avenue.
That's right, and it's free and open to the public, so head on down to Politics and Prose and learn more about the Explorers Guild. Well, in just